God is a Hungarian film that's written and directed by Kornél Mundodixu. So the reason why I watched and am reviewing White God is because it's actually a $50 patron request from Brandon Smith, and this is somebody that I've been a friend of since high school. He's such a good dude, and I highly appreciate him for becoming a $50 patron. And I really appreciate this request specifically because this is a film that I truly never heard of until he requested it. And when I looked it up, I saw that it was a Hungarian film, and I'm like, that's really cool. I've never seen a Hungarian film before. And when I looked into the premise of this film, I was like, okay, this is something that I'm actually not quite used to watching, because this film is essentially about, I guess, in a real surface level sense, about a lost dog that tries to find its way home. That is the most simplistic way I could really describe this film, because it is a lot more than that. But essentially, this is a movie about a dog, and it's also about humanity in a way as well. And now, having seen the film, I can easily say that this was probably the darkest dog story and dog tale that I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's funny because I don't know how people who just like watching dog movies would really react to this, because I think that most of them would probably not be able to handle the kind of content that's in this film, because it's really daring and really unforgiving when it comes to animal abuse and murder. And I'm not sure about this, but I feel like this is probably a socially and culturally relevant film to Hungary, because in this film, there's a lot of emphasis on the way that human beings treat dogs and look at dogs, and really just animals in general, and to shine light on the faults of their society and really humanity in general in terms of their issues that they have with dogs. Because in this film, it seems like they really have a huge problem with homeless dogs who have nowhere to go. And I feel like in a way, this film does achieve that, but I gotta say, I'm kind of mixed and divided on this film, because there were aspects of it that I thought were effective and impressive and I really enjoyed. And then there's aspects of it that I really couldn't get on board with and I took pretty big issue with. So this is a film that ended up kind of being a mixed bag for me. But as usual, I'm going to go ahead and start with the positives, because I always start with the positives. This is a film that impressed me in terms of how much coordination and how much stunt work it took in terms of having all these dogs present on screen. Because there is a lot of not only dog acting, but there's just a lot of dogs on screen in this film. Like, there are scenes that are compiled of hundreds and hundreds of dogs, it seems, like running around the street and doing certain things, and just the amount of manpower and coordination it took to actually accomplish this stuff, and especially accomplish it in a convincing way, is commendable in my opinion. And I also think that some of the darker elements of this film were effective for me, because not only was it just convincing, but I think it was, again, like a really socially relevant issue, not only in Hungary, but really everywhere else in the world. And it incorporates the important and awful subject of dogfighting. And I didn't really want to give that element of the plot away because, you know, I didn't know about it going into it, and I thought it worked better being as a surprise. But it is something that is kind of heavy in terms of emotion and just graphic content. So, I mean, I might as well give y'all a warning about that. But yeah, this does incorporate the element of dogfighting, and just the fact that it had that in the film, and the way that it shows you like what happens to these dogs that are uncared for, and a combination of a society that, you know, doesn't view dogs as equals to humans, or at the very least a creature that deserves our empathy. It just shows you the kind of inhumane route that it can take. And I also enjoyed the coming of age aspect of this film, because there's this kind of coming of age story arc with the young girl that's in this film. And I thought it was interesting to see this film kind of go that route, because this isn't just about the dog. It also shows you the maturing process of this character who goes through these certain experiences. But there were also aspects of this film that I didn't really think worked at all. And the first thing that just comes to my mind is the musical score. Because the score in this film, a lot of times is like really over the top. And it's really beating you over the head with this over manipulative music that is really trying way too hard to try to provoke some sort of emotion out of you. And it just came off really cheesy and over the top and took away from moments that could have been really effective. But it's not only the music that's manipulative, because there are aspects of this film that just in terms of plot and in terms of the events that unfold, also seem like it's just trying really, really hard to make you feel sad or guilty. And it's those scenes that involve animal abuse and dogfighting. And even though I liked the fact that it incorporated that in this film because I think it's important, some of the way it went about it is intentionally trying to just emotionally shock you and devastate you. And again, it's not all of that stuff that I think is badly executed or manipulative, but there are certain elements of that route that it goes down that I think are not really pulling you emotionally in the fairest way. And also there's this one big dogfighting scene in this film that I don't think was executed very well, because they try to go all the way with it and show you everything that's happening, but it relies on this unbelievable overuse of sound effects that don't match with what you're watching on screen. And there are many moments in that scene where I was just like getting taken out. I'm like, yeah, those are just dogs like roughhousing, and they just added a bunch of these like snarl and growl effects that is desperately trying to trick the audience into thinking that these dogs are actually like viciously attacking each other. And also, honestly, the acting in this film isn't really the best. I think there are some people that were a little bit more convincing than others. But to be honest, the little girl in this film really wasn't all that convincing. She was pretty emotionless for the most part. And it's not even her fault. I'm sure she's probably a talented actress, but I just feel like maybe if she was directed better in certain parts, because there are some parts where like I feel like this type of person who is disconnected to this dog would be showing like a lot more emotion. And to me, it just wasn't present. And there are other moments where I just really wasn't fully convinced. For the most part, like I think the acting overall is like just passable. Like there's nothing special about it. It's at least good enough to be in a professional movie, but there's nothing really, gratifying or outstanding about it. And the ending to this film, I'm also kind of mixed on, because to me, it's predictable because you kind of can see it coming from a mile away in terms of how it's set up. But I also think it's kind of wholesome, and it does what I mentioned before. It kind of does have that element of humanity to it that really sends this overall like emotionally powerful message about what it wants to say. And I think that is a way that it was effective, but I do wish that it wasn't so predictable. So it kind of, it's definitely a mixed bag there. This entire film is a mixed bag. But either way, despite the criticisms that I have for it, I still think that this is a rather important film. I do think it's worth giving a shot. So I'm going to give White God a 6 out of 10. I remember going into this film thinking like, why is it called White God? And now that I've watched the film, I'm still thinking to myself, why the hell is it called White God? I still don't quite get it. I mean, I've kind of put some theories together, but it just seems like I'm reaching. So if there's anybody that has seen this film and actually has that answer, I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments section. Either way, if you really enjoyed what I had to say about White God, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.